1.2 Muscular System. Functions of the muscular system. As a physiotherapist, they will need to know the muscular system of the body as it's something they'll encounter daily when dealing and trying to improve the athlete's body. They will need to have a huge knowledge on the muscular system as well as the bones, as this is the only treatment they'll do with their hands-on working with the body. With a total of 6,500 muscles in the body, which are all composed of specialized cells called muscle fibers, which their main function is for contractions, the physio will need to heal them and make sure the athlete is painless and able and freely movable as quick as possible. There are three main muscles in the body: skeletal muscles, smooth muscles, and cardiac muscles. The function system of movement's main role is to facilitate movement is done by allowing the muscles to contract. There are two types of movement: gross movement, which is exercise such as walking, and there's fine movement such as writing and speaking, which is usually done down to the small skeletal muscles. Movement. The muscular system is responsible for the whole movement in the body. They do this by attaching to the bones, which act as levers for the muscles, which work in pairs in order to do this. Most of these different movements are done conciliarly, which is done consciously controlled. However, they are also reflective movements, such as moving your hand away from something hot. Another example of a reflective movement is breathing and the respiratory system, as you do this without thinking and without consciously doing it. A sporting example would be when doing a bicep curl, which is a gross movement. It works by the bicep contracting and triceps extending. All the skeletal muscles in your body are what allow you to move and which are attached to your skeleton and are controlled by your central nervous system. These are also fast twitch fibers, muscles for type 2, which facilitates short string bursts of speed, and also slow twitch fibers, type 1, which their function is to allow longer movement. Breathing and respiratory system is done unconsciously. It's done by the epiglottis opening and closing when breathing. This is vital as the lungs constantly need oxygen and also to release carbon dioxide. The pressure in the pleural is less as the pressure in the lungs, so the air, when the epiglottis opens, the oxygen rushes into them. When exhaling, the intercostal relaxes and the pleural space decreases. However, its pressure increases by the air forced out of the lungs. Posture. The skeletal muscles help to hold the body upright and in the correct position whenever someone is either sitting or standing. Flexibility and the strength of the muscles are vital when having a good posture. This is because your body will need to adapt to different positions that your body finds itself in, which is why when you're having a poor posture, it can affect your joints and make your muscles especially weaker in areas such as your back and neck. A sporting example would be this: in cricket, as a wicketkeeper playing a test match for 5 days, his posture would have to be very good, as the amount of crouching he would have to do constantly per day would be very strenuous on his back and could cause him leaving back pain and neck pain. Heart production. The heart is a muscle that pumps blood around the body every second. We do this unconsciously, as we don't think about this when doing it, and it contracts automatically when the electrical system tells it to. Also, the smooth muscles in the heart, which are located within the arteries and veins, that by maintaining sure that the blood pressure is correct at all times, and even if you had blood loss, it would still pump the blood round even with the lack of volume of blood. Contracting. The characteristics of muscles. Excitability is the ability to respond to a stimulus. This can be delivered by a motor neuron or a hormone. Nervous impulses cause it to release neurotransmitter axonal and nerve-muscle junction. The acetylcholine then activates the surface of the muscle cell. This means that the muscle cell and depolarization of the muscle cell then become negatively charged, which means the membrane becomes depolarized, which then leads to the muscle becoming excited electrochemically. Extensibility. Extensibility is the ability for a muscle to be stretched. When our elbow is flexing, the elbow extensor must be in order for the elbow to allow the flexion to occur. However, a majority of the body cells don't facilitate the movement to stretch, or if they will, they'll become damaged. The muscle cells then will contract to allow them to retain the ability. However, the muscle cells can be stretched 3 times the size of their resting size. This is so when your antagonistic muscles operate, the one is lengthened and the other one is contracting. Like when you're running and your quadriceps are extending to allow the contraction of the hamstrings. Elasticity. Elasticity means that it can be stretched or contracted without being damaged, and that it will return to its original form before it was stretched. Why your muscles recoil after being stretched or contracted. If your biceps fail to recoil, they'll become slack under no tension and wouldn't be able to generate any force, as they would become useless levers. Contracting. Contracting is when the muscles get stimulated by the neural input, which are cardiac muscles, which don't require any input. Once a muscle cell becomes excited, it goes through the different membranes to the interior, which opens up the calcium channels. They then bind to the protein molecule, which then change in shape and position. The myosin bonds then join to the small bands of myofilaments, which then pull them along, then means that the cells can contract. This all happens at once, with the myofilaments pulling myosin and actin thousands at a time, allowing them to all work together for the muscles to contract. Types of muscle tissues. The smooth, it's the organs, tubes, veins and arteries. It's not striated. The size depends on the organs or tubes. It has one endomysium layer. It's involuntary. It has an automatic nervous system. The speed of it is extremely slow. It can't be fatigued. Skeletal. The location is on the bones itself. It's striated and is long and cylindrical. They are very large. It has 3 layers of endomysium, perimysium, and epimysium. It's voluntary. It uses the central nervous system. The speed can change as the muscle fibers contract, and they can't fatigue. Heart and myocardium. The cardiac. Heart and myocardium. Striated with sarcomere. Fairly small. It has one endomysium. It's involuntary. It's automatic nervous system. It's slow but rhythmic, and it's non-fatiguing as it can't work if there's no oxygen. Skeletal muscle growth autonomy. The connective tissue. Connective tissue consists of 3 parts: ground substance, fibers, and cells. Both the ground substance can join to make extracellular. Ground substance is clear, has no colour, and is the fluid that fills in between the cells and fibers. This allows the connective tissue to act like a glue for the substance for the cells to attach to. The main function of the connective tissue is for binding and supporting, protecting and insulating. Reticular are fibers within the cartilage that have fine collagens that branch extensively. Elastic fibers are long and thin fibers which branch out extracellular matrix, and collagen fibers, which provide high tensile strength to the matrix and fibrous proteins. Tendons. The structure of the tendon is that they are bright white colour and very strong due to the fibre elastic matrix. All tendons have different structures and they are different, however they are generally long and thin, allow the muscles to generate a lot of force. It is made up of connective tissue which is firmly connected to the muscles fibres at the end of the long bone. Origins and insertions. The structure of origins and insertions is that they don't facilitate movement while the muscle contracts, as they are found at the end of the bone. The insertions is further away which doesn't move, as they are found at the end of the bones. The fascicle is a bundle of muscles which have endomysium, myofibers, and myofibril in them. Blood vessels. The structure of the blood vessels is that they consist of capillaries, venules, arteries, arterioles, and veins. They are flexible tubes that carry blood throughout the body, which can expand to allow more blood through them. Skeletal muscle growth. Neuron control is involuntary, as you do this unconsciously. It is protected by the organs in your body, as this is what sends the neurons down throughout your body. Like the spinal cord has a hard shell, so on impact from a fall, it doesn't affect the neurons going down your body. Fatigability. Fatigue is fatigue, which simply refers to a state of being very tired or not able to maintain an expected force. And fatigability is simply how you measure how fast someone gets tired. Different muscle types. Fusiform is where two heads, one short and one long, come together to create one. The long head is the ideal division which joins with the small head of the femur, which is the linea aspera. They have fibres which are arranged in near parallel to the tendon at both ends. Muscle roles. The antagonist. The role of the antagonist is to oppose the agonist. For instance, when doing an elbow flexion, the bicep is the agonist and the tricep is the antagonist. When this happens, the antagonist will relax so it doesn't have an effect on the agonist. However, if lifting a heavy weight, the antagonist will help reduce the tension by pulling back your arm so you don't injure yourself. Agonist. The antagonist is the main mover in any force complete. It's also generally the shortens and contracts. When doing a bicep curl, the agonist contracts and shortens, and the agonist, which is the triceps, extend. This is always the case, however, when you contract eccentrically, because it's a prime move for both times. Synergists. Synergists are the muscles that stabilize the joint and help it function efficiently. It also creates movement. In a bicep curl, synergist and stabilizes the bicep and triceps don't overextend. Fixator. The fixator stabilizes the origin of the joint and also stabilizes the agonist. In a bicep curl, the fixator would be rotated cuff muscles would stop them from both overextending. Insertion. When doing a bicep curl, the insertion is in the ulna. As it moves, it's attached to the side where the muscle contracts. The origin. The origin attaches to the site so that it doesn't move. For a bicep curl, the origin would be the scapula, as when the muscle contracts, the origin stays in the same place and does not move. The shoulder joint. Types of muscle fiber. Slow oxygenated type 1. Diameter small, fibrous per neuron small, capillarization high, myoglobin content high, mitochondrial content very high, PC stores low, glycogen stores low, tricidin stores high, aerobic enzymes very high, anaerobic enzymes low. Activity marathon. Fast oxidated glycylic. Diameter large, fibrous per neuron large, capillarization intermediate, myoglobin content medium, mitochondrial content medium, PC stores high, glycogen stores high,